Alright, up next from the Hoover series is this Windtunnel Supreme Mach 3.3 upright vacuum that was requested to be shown. I've had this now for 3 years, I believe. I picked it up from the thrift store for 15 bucks. And I picked it up the same time as my second Panasonic Performance Plus model MCV 7367. This was the condition it was in when I found it. Really didn't do anything besides dusting it down for this video. It is missing one of the wands, and somewhere in the core there's like a tear, but not too concerning to where I should put electrical tape on it. Other than that, the headlight is burnt out and the belt snapped, so you won't be able to hear the brush roll running in this video. But I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to doing a video of this, and someone wanted to see this anyway, so I'm more than happy to do it just the way it is. Although if I did do another video of this machine, I probably won't have it as clean as I would want it to be, because I would have to be super careful with this, as if you take a look at one of the decals there, just by how dark it's gone, if you were to rub your fingernail right there, you could just see that it would easily come off. So I'd be very concerned with even just wiping it down. So anyways, other than that, it still works. Just a new bag, a new filter, and a new belt, and this machine would be running good again. So I've wanted one of these for quite some time. When I was living up in Washington State several years ago, the ranch had one of these vacuums that I used to clean my apartment with before. Although that one had seen better days, because one of my memories I had was the commutator was so dirty to where it just smelled like that it was burning. I did clean it up, but nonetheless, the bearings were shot. The thing was so heavily scuffed and beat up to where it was like used commercially. So, and one of these also happens to be a childhood machine as well. Well, it was actually the model that was a step up over this, to where instead of having the mechanical bag indicator right there, it had the electronic bag indicator light right here next to the dirt sensor. One of my neighbors across the street from me had one of those. I never used it, but I remember that was like one of their upstairs vacuums they had, the other being a Auric XL21. And then their downstairs vacuum they used were a central vac. It was actually 2 beam units with the same electric Rugmaster Plus kit. So anyways, and then also when I was living down in Lake Powell for one summer, I remembered my apartment also had one of these as well. That was, of course, the same model as the one with the electronic bag indicator light as well. For what I remembered, several years ago, it had a sticky note on top saying that it was broken, but one day I actually happened to pull that machine out and turn it on, and sure enough, it worked. There was nothing wrong with it. I wanted to take it home with me because I figured that no one was going to use it anymore. But because that machine was technically in government property, because Lake Powell is technically a national park, I had to go through the process of getting approval from my then boss at the time, and then through the department chair, etc. So I just figured to myself, you know what, it's not really worth my time or effort to get it, especially when it was back when I was getting ready to move back home. So I just let it go. But I did, however, took home a white Kenmore canister home with me because they were going to throw it out anyways. So anyways, hopefully one of these days I'll be able to find that particular model. But nonetheless, again, I'm just happy to have one of these. So despite being a Maytag built machine, these weren't too bad. I definitely like these more than the Elites, that's for certain. But if I really wanted a wind tunnel, I would prefer a model that doesn't have this big bulky handle that just honestly feels a bit awkward in my hand, where it has like the switch on the side here, because I like the handles of those kind better, even though I do prefer having the switch on top of the handle. And even later on when TDI took over, they actually did made a looped handle that I did like much better. Nonetheless, I do like these machines. Good cleaning, fun to use, easy to take apart, seem to be built very well, especially for the price. But not my most favorite model, because one of the reasons is the dirt sensors. I used to think as a kid that was a cool thing, but it's honestly just another thing that would break. So that's another thing I would rather not have on my ideal wind tunnel. So just showing out the best I could. I like that you can be able to take the hose off of here, and you can actually put a extension hose in there if you wanted to. Another thing I also will say that I prefer having a wind tunnel that doesn't use a stretch hose, because with just how powerful these motors are and with how big the ends are on this, it would just instantly tip the machine over if you were to like use it to clean out the couch or whatever. I like the attachments, they're pretty nice. Inside of here you got a pretty decent bag. Later on they did put the HEPA cloth ones, which I much prefer, because as you can see here, it's just, yeah, these paper bags are awful. They do at least put a pre-motor filter under here and a post filter on the side, though I wish they could have put a HEPA style filter on these, just like on the self-propelled models. At least the mechanical indicators work like they should. Yeah, and as you can see, this brush was just filthy. Again, I haven't really done a thing to it. I do, however, dislike the grooming marks, just because of the way this brush is designed. I get that it's to prevent from the cords sucking into inside, but honestly, this is where I really like the concepts more, is because they're much more delicate, and they just make much better grooming marks than this. And another thing I also could care less about is these side brushes. They're supposed to help with edge cleaning, but from my experience, they don't really do a thing at all for that. And then finally, here's the model info. So the date of Hoover, at least for the Maytag models, is the first four indicate the month and the year that this was made. So this was made in April of 1998. I definitely do like that these were assembled in the US, because later on that these would be assembled in Mexico. So other than that, that's pretty much it to talk about this. Because even though I like these machines more than the Elites, it just, for whatever reason, as a kid, I just wasn't that too drawn into them. Or I don't know, maybe I did and I just don't have much memory about it anymore. But definitely for certain, I have much more respect for these machines than whatever TDI is selling today. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and turn this machine on. And if you can't see the dirt sensor light really well, I apologize, but yeah, as I said, the headlight is burnt out, so let's go ahead. Apparently I must have didn't realize or maybe forgot, but apparently that's kind of snapped. Oh my goodness, even with no belt on. Wow. Yeah, these are definitely way too powerful, and it kind of proves my point why I like the concept machines more. Or maybe it's simply due to the fact that underneath here, you can see here, this might be the culprit, is this thing right here is just snapped. Maybe I actually tugged onto the knots here, but I really got to get a new rug for this. I just don't think this is the best one to do demonstration on. Anyways, hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.